Blog Talk Radio.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Superhero Academy. I'm your host, Crossfire the Crusader, and with me today I have three callers, area code 352. Who have I got on the Academy today?
Hey, it's Amazonia.
That's Amazonia, our visiting professor, and area code 504.
Captain Black.
All right, Captain Black, and area code 217, rounding things out. Who we got? Area code 217, you're on Superhero Academy.
Oh, this is Levian.
Oh, hey. That's Levian. Yeah, I know who it is. That's my partner here.
Levian, yeah.
Yeah, I always say it wrong, don't I? How about I just call you Captain Halo?
That's fine.
That works, too. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for calling in, everybody. First off, Amazonia is going to be our visiting professor today. If you hadn't been paying attention, we're going to be discussing the historical figure today, unlike the ones we've done in the past. So we've talked about St. Patrick and St. Nicholas and St. Valentine. We have talked about Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks. And today we will be talking about none other than Kitty Genovese. And she is a far different historical figure than the others that we have, because it is in the way that she died that she made an impact on the world, because it's an example of the wrong way to do things, among other things. And there's a lot of urban legend attached to her, and we're going to try and sort through the truth, and we're going to try and find the truth in what's there, as well as maybe touch on a little bit of urban legend and what is inspired in us. Before we get started, Captain Black had texted me earlier today and also called me earlier, and there was an announcement you wanted to make about your birthday. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for the opportunity. On April 11th, I'll be having my first annual Captain Black free food giveaway here in New Orleans. I'll be 45 years old, and I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate it than by sharing food with my fellow men, women, and children. And if anybody's interested in making any donations, I can give you that information at the end of the show. But I think since my parents gave me life on that day, it's only fair that I try to give some comfort to my fellow citizens. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, definitely. And I've got your information. I will post that on both the website and on my Facebook page for everybody to share that event with you.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we move into Amazonia, I'm going to turn this on over to you and let you get into this story, and just let everybody know who Kitty Genovese is and exactly what happened, for those of us that may not be familiar with the situation.
Sure. Well, her name was Catherine Susan Genovese. Everybody called her Kitty. She was born July 7th, 1935, and was murdered on this date in 1964, March 13th, by a gentleman by the name, I just had it 2 seconds ago, Winston Mosley. She was a bartender / manager at a at a bar and was on her way home at, I just had the time, 3:15 in the morning. Sorry, my notes are kind of scattered. At 3:15 or so in the morning, and he was looking for, specifically for a woman to attack and kill. Now, the actual murder itself happened with 3 attacks. The first one was, like I said, approximately 3:15 in the morning. She had parked down the street from her apartment building and was walking towards the building when Mr. Mosley approached her. She started to run, and he quickly overtook her. Now, he stabbed her twice in the back, and she yelled out. Where is it? Sorry, like I said, my notes are scattered here. I think I have it right here. She yelled out, "Oh my God, he stabbed me, help me." And she was near a bar at the time. It appears that she might have been trying to get to the bar for help. And gentleman in the building across the street, in the apartment building, actually heard her, looked out his window, and yelled, "Let that girl alone." He didn't know that there had been an attack. His name was Robert Moser. And after that, Mr. Mosley moved on back to his car because he was afraid he was going to be caught because there was multiple lights coming on in the apartment building. He waited a few minutes, then went back and attacked Kitty Genovese again, and he left again after that because he was afraid he was going to be caught because they were still out in the open on the street. Right now, he left, came back about 10 to 15 minutes later. He was searching all over the neighborhood for her because he knew she was in that area. He started at the train station where she had parked and worked his way around and found her at the back of her apartment building, which she couldn't get in because the door was locked. And that's where the final assault took place along with the rape. And they believe that she could not scream very loud because one of the first knife attacks actually punctured her lung, so she couldn't actually get much out in the way of saying anything or even yelling. Now, it's also believed that he had initially attacked her because she was a lesbian, and that was not true. That actually came out after he was arrested. His actual reasons for attacking her is that she was a woman. That's what he was looking for specifically. And he gave us the excuse that he was looking for a woman because they don't fight back.
That's right. He actually confessed to 2 other murders after they arrested him.
Yep, he confessed to 2 other murders and multiple attacks. Now, he was actually caught on burglary charges, and that's when he confessed to everything else. He was never caught for this crime or any other crime. He actually confessed to those after the fact.
One of the things that I read somewhere in my notes, and my notes are probably as scattered as yours, the fact that when they finally did get the police to arrive, she was still alive and was transported to the hospital and died at the hospital. Had they called when she was initially attacked, she might have lived.
Actually, there were multiple calls to the police, but there was so scattered in the information that was being given, they did not put it as a high priority call.
That's true. One of the people that called in was intoxicated and got into an argument with the operator. Another one said there was an argument going on, and there was really no. Some of the witnesses were confused as to what was happening. There was at least one couple that didn't want to get involved and hid from it. Now, according to the press at the time, they made a big story about, was it 38 or 48 people that supposedly saw this and didn't act, but there was actually 12 people, and some did act and some did not act correctly, but in the long run, nobody intervened.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody actually took the time to intervene and stop this horrible incident from happening.
Yeah, that is the sad part. The article that you're referring to was 38 witnesses, and that was 2 weeks after the murder. This wasn't even at the time of the murder, and yet they did conclude, the police and the DA did conclude that there were about 12 witnesses altogether, and most of them said that they thought that it was either a lover's spat or some rowdy people coming out of the local bar. From what I've been able to understand, with what the witnesses thought was actually going on. And like I said, there was a lot of confusion too when they were calling in that the dispatchers or whatever they were at the time didn't even understand exactly what the people were trying to tell them, so they didn't know that there had been an attack of the severity that it was. And it was also because of this case that the New York City police did change their dispatch capabilities. They did look at it and went in and changed and overhauled their system.
Definitely. Now, we've got another caller on the line, area code 732. You're on Superhero Academy.
Peter Master Legend here.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
We're here.
I just got back from Atlanta.
Yeah, I heard Team Justice had a big thing going on in Atlanta.
Congratulations.
It wasn't that big, but, not as big time as I'd hoped for it to be. But we went ahead and we visited with Danger Woman, and she went on a mission with us, helped us out, helping us get geared up, So it was nice to be able to visit her, and then we met up with Crimson Fist, and we were out there, that's for sure, We were out there. It was a pretty nice city. I like that city. Atlanta. Not a bad city there, except for all the bad drivers.
Lots of things going on. There's a lot of people on the boards and on Facebook and in the Real Life Superhero community are talking about the patrols for tonight. It's a tradition for many of them to do just a neighborhood walk to make sure that nothing, make sure there's not another Kitty Genovese on today. It's kind of a tradition, more symbolic than not. But
I'll be out every night, every single night as I always am.
I always try to randomize it, but tonight, in honor of her memory, I say do it, just because it's that kind of thing where I think it's important to honor that.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I look at
people don't honor it.
When I look at this case, I see it as a milestone of how backward society was at that time period regarding concerns for women and the safety of women, because at that time period, policemen, if there was a domestic disturbance, and even if a woman was clearly being physically abused by her husband, policemen might dismiss it as, oh, well, it's a private matter, and walk away. Now we have a Family Violence Act that forces police officers to take action, regardless to whether or not either party involved even wants to file charges. So that's something I derive from it, that it shows us how far we've come as a society and still how far we need to go in really, truly valuing everyone within the society. Because for too long, women and violence against women have been considered a personal privilege for men. And that type of backward thinking needs to be erased from American culture.
Captain Black, is that you?
That's me.
Oh, my God, I haven't heard from you in a while. I thought I recognized the voice.
No, I agree with you there completely. And that there does need...
conservative argument is right and wrong. Because for too long, a segment of our society, women, have been preyed upon by a very violent group within the male population, and it's up until really 1996 with the Family Violence Act that they really have had any type of established legal recourse. Because otherwise, somebody just shrug his shoulders and say, oh, well, it's a family matter, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm looking through my notes, one of the things that I found I printed off from the internet today, the New York Daily News had an article today about 47 years later, the killing of Kitty Genovese. And it mentioned the opening statement on there just kind of sums up a lot. It says, New York lost its heart 47 years ago Sunday. And it talks about, at that point, that's what, they note at that point is where the crime really started spiraling out of control. They started noticing the murder, the violent crime in that. And Kitty Genovese was at the highlight of when that started they started to lose control of it there in New York City. And they talk about the apathy, the people not wanting to get involved. Captain Black called me earlier, and I thought about what you said about that wouldn't have happened in the South. But, I think back at that time, I don't know that I could say it wouldn't have, because that was also during the Civil Rights Movement, and there was a lot of people that didn't want to get involved in fighting for rights of the black community either, and a lot of people just were not doing the right thing. And
but with all the monumental problems the South had, and one thing Southerners have always, and it's been hypocritical, but usually, if a woman is being attacked in public in the South, usually, even in the apartheid days of the 1960s, somebody's going to intervene. And in those days, people carried guns, and attacking a woman might not have been a good idea. I would hope than all. These are things, and I'm particularly sensitive about this, because when a society will say it's all right to harm one segment of the society, then all segments of that society are by default endangered. It's like that old poem that, they came for the Christians and nobody says anything. They came for the Jews and nobody said anything. And then when they came for me, there was nobody left to say anything. That's how, that's the lens I see these types of cases through. You have to have a passionate, involved public. It doesn't mean vigilantism. It doesn't mean mob rule. But it does mean that you just do the right thing. You don't let someone get butchered in plain view, because the same people in that bar would have fought if someone stepped on their feet, but none of them could be compelled to step outside its front door to help a woman being stabbed to death. Pretty bad commentary.
Then a really sad thing is that it took place over almost a 30-minute time period. Mm-hmm. Like Amazon said, separate attacks, and came back and left and came back.
Yeah, he did that 3 times. Yeah, about 30 minutes altogether, and the last person that saw her, which actually showed up just after the last attack, was what was his name? Carl Ross. Actually came across her at the back of the building just minutes after the last attack, and was there with her.
He was injured and got somebody there, if I'm not mistaken.
The what?
Is that correct? That was the one that actually got the police on the line and got somebody there.
He's the one that actually contacted the police and told them that she had been attacked. He never even saw the whole attack. All he did was saw her after this. Matter of fact, not a single witness saw the whole attack or even heard it. There was multiple people at multiple times hearing or seeing different things, but never realized what was going on. Unfortunately, none of them wanted to get involved. If they had at the beginning, this catastrophe would never have resulted. She would never have died.
We've got another caller on the line, area code 617. You're on Superhero Academy with Amazonia and Crossfire.
This is Basilisk.
Pardon?
Basilisk.
Basilisk. Oh, good.
Hey there.
Welcome.
Hey there. I've been hearing about the Kitty Genovese case, and it sort of reminded me of something that happened to me a long time ago. This was way before I became Basilisk. Basically, there was a girl in one of my schools that was being picked on, and nobody came up to help her out. And I wasn't as strong back then, but I came up and I said, leave that girl alone. These were several different bullies against me, and I was just definitely not afraid. Basically, they left her alone, and I basically forgot about her after some time, but she didn't. And I think this sort of set the destiny for the kind of person that I was going to be, because I would never leave a person hanging, whether it be man or woman.
Definitely agree. I feel the same way. In research and preparing for this, we knew this was falling on this day was this was a perfect show for this, and I pegged Amazon. I said she would be the perfect person to present this. But as I did my little research to be prepared for this, I noted that this incident, although it happened 47 years ago, it has made, there have been 2 or 3 movies made about it. It's been reflected in episodes of CSI and on Law and Order, among other shows. It has been brought up on several true crime programs and such like that. And despite the fact that it was such a open and shut case, the person was caught. There was a confession. The evidence was there. The thing keeps coming up. It's the fact that people didn't want to get involved. And I think back to No Man is an Island, and I was talking to Levian there about on the chat room. If you listen to this story, it almost sounds like a really exaggerated version of the first half of the parable of the prodigal son, where they just let the guy lay there in the road, ignored him, crossed the street, and keep from looking at him. And we're looking, at the first half of the story, and we're wondering, where's the second half? Where's the person that got involved when he didn't have to? Where's the person that picked the person up off the street and got him to the doctor, got him to the inn, put the money out to take care of him? Where's the person in this case, that came in at the last minute too late, got the police there and got her to the hospital so she didn't die in the street? But
what's awful with it even inspired one of the great recent fictional characters. Because, the Watchmen's Rorschach character was inspired. He said that he made his mask because he had to put on a face that he wasn't ashamed of after witnessing such apathy in the midst of in the midst of such virtual public execution. And that, this one act has impacted, great fiction. It shaped jurisprudence. It's changed social views. This event, this woman's murder, has had multiple significant impacts on contemporary American culture, and I'm glad that people haven't forgotten, because the same type of mindset that victimized her still exists today.
But have you ever noticed, Captain Black, that we're starting to go a giant step backwards? Because, for example, in Massachusetts, they're now stepping up on a bill in which you have to pay in order to get services from public servants now, and that's what I think is a big insult.
You have to pay to serve, like 911 calls or something like that. I'm trying to.
Not exactly. For example, if a person basically asks to get to be found or asks for a pet to be found, they have to pay for services.
Oh, okay.
Rendered.
I think that's probably the feature of most of the states going broke since this recession has happened. I'm not making light of that, but once again, wherever society's priorities are, if you look on the periphery of that, that's where you see the suffering. If you don't prioritize women, then you're definitely going to see a lot of violence toward women. If you don't prioritize people of color, you're definitely going to see a lot of violence. If you don't prioritize people who practice, alternative lifestyles or however you term it, then you're going to see excesses exercised against women. So that's why I always keep going back to there has to be a passionate public. The public has to be involved, because if you're waiting for a handful of people with uniforms or titles to handle all this stuff, it'll never happen.
You cannot dehumanize somebody by reducing them to one common factor, whether it's skin color, whether it's their sexual preference, whether it is their sex, whether it's their hair color, their eye color, their body weight, whatever. When you turn them into a statistic instead of a person, you've done something wrong. And when you make a choice to ignore somebody based on something, that is just wrong. They're still human beings. Whether you agree with them or not, you should respect them and respect their right to live. Now, we've got about 5 minutes, so I'm going to have to wrap things up here. Silver Sentinel had sent me a text earlier. He wasn't going to be able to call in today, and he wanted to go make sure we sent out a special silver seal of approval this week to all the people that are doing rescue work in Japan right now.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot. I've watched the news, and it looks like a Godzilla movie. It is astounding, the damage and the devastation over there. I agree with him that is the people that are over there trying to find and rescue and save lives, they do really deserve that recognition. And of course, we've got everybody that called in. I want to thank you and invite you to be here again next week. We've got next week is the weekend after St. Patrick's Day, the 20th. we're going to look at the real life St. Patrick, keeping with our Christmas and Valentine's theme, where we looked at some of the people behind the saints and the legends here. And Skyman's going to be joining us, and Le'Veon is going to be joining us for that weekend to kind of go into the real life St. Patrick. On the 27th, we've got Perkayla. She's one of the Skiffy Towners, and she's going to be talking about her program, Face Painting for Ferals. On April the 3rd, Artistroy, am I saying that right, Master Legend?
Yep, that's how you say it.
He has agreed to come on. We're going to do a fun show. He wants to do a show on all the gadgets he can put on a real-life superhero's utility belt, and the things that we need and things that are practical. 10th of April, we're going to have an exciting show with Danger Woman. That's never a dull moment with her around. 17th of April, Urban Avengers coming on, and it's going to talk about their hunt for the Chula Vista Groper and the work they've been doing there. And then 24th of April is going to be Easter Sunday, and I know what direction we're going with it. I just don't know who's going to be helping me out with that program. And coming up in the months after that, I've got Geist, Crimson Fist, Zimmer, Patriot, Stormbringer, and a group called the St. Baldrick's Foundation. Specifically in their group, some ladies called the 44 Mothers who Shave for the Brave. And what they are doing is they shave their heads and raise money to support children with cancer. So we've got some interesting topics coming up in the next quarter. I want to thank everybody that called in and talked about this one. This is we could go on for 3 hours, I think, on this topic. It's a very, very emotional one. And I appreciate Captain Black, Amazonia, of course, Totian, Master Legend. I'm forgetting everybody, so many people. Basilisk and Le'Veon. I'm going to get your name right one of these days, Captain Halo. And, of course, in the chat room, we've got Wingman, we had Pink Eyes, Dark Spartan, several others. Everybody that called in, thank you again for being part of the show. I look forward to having you on again. We will keep the chat room open for a few minutes if anyone wants to continue talking about this. But before I go into our closing theme, is there anything you want to add? Close this out there, Amazonia.
Just to keep your eyes open and spread the word about this case, and let's try to break the apathy that's out there and get people and start getting people involved in their communities and watching out for each other.
I agree. Captain Black, anything you want to add?
Couldn't have said it better.
Definitely. We don't want to see any more of these. That's the one thing. We don't want to see any more of these. So for Superhero Academy, this is Crossfire the Crusader. I'm going to see you next week. Same cross time, same cross channel. Y'all have a good day, and thank you again, everybody, for calling in.
We're men in night. We roam around the forest looking for light. We're men in time. We run from the rich and give to the poor, that's right. We may look like citizens, but what would you say, or else we'll put out your light?
Master Legend, you still there?
Yeah.
We're men in night.
What if we go in the after dark?
Always on guard, defending the people's rights.
Huh?
Let's go in the after dark.
I gotta get I'm gonna go get some sleep now, okay?
Alright.
So I'm gonna go for now, okay?
Alright.
Yeah, well, I haven't had nothing good to eat all day, so I'm gonna get some. I'll see you later on.
From the rich and give to the poor, that's right. We may